Have you ever wondered what secrets a queen takes to her grave? Well, some of Queen Elizabeth II's secrets aren't in a grave at all. They're sealed in a vault, waiting for a future generation to uncover them. Tucked away in a secure location in Sydney, Australia, is a handwritten letter from the late Queen with a very peculiar instruction: do not open until 2085. What could possibly be in this letter that requires it to be sealed for nearly a century? This isn't just any letter. It's a time capsule, a message from one of the longest reigning monarchs in history to the citizens of a future Sydney. But why Sydney? And why 2085? The story behind this letter is as fascinating as the mystery of its contents. The letter was written in November 1986. Queen Elizabeth was in Sydney to mark the restoration of the Queen Victoria Building, a grand 19th century structure that was, at one point, slated for demolition. To celebrate its reopening and preservation, she penned this letter, addressed it to the Right and Honourable Lord Mayor of Sydney, and had it placed in a glass case inside a dome at the top of the building. Her instructions are clear and displayed right beside the letter for all to see. The staff at the Queen Victoria Building know about it. The Lord Mayor's office knows about it. But absolutely no one knows what it says. This isn't the only instance of royal correspondence being kept under wraps. The Royal Archives at Windsor Castle hold a vast collection of letters, diaries and state documents, many of which are sealed for decades after a monarch's passing. This is standard practice, designed to protect personal privacy and allow history to be viewed with a more objective lens, free from the immediate politics and sensitivities of the time. But the Sydney letter is different. It's not a private diary entry or a sensitive state document. It's a public gesture, a mystery intentionally created for the world to ponder. So, what are the theories? What could Queen Elizabeth have possibly written that needs to wait until 2085? Some people believe it's a simple message of congratulations. Perhaps it congratulates the people of Sydney in 2085 for preserving the beautiful building and reflects on the hopes she had for the city's future back in 1986. It could be a message of continuity, a bridge connecting the 20th century to the late 21st. It would be a classic Queen Elizabeth move, thoughtful, dignified, and focused on tradition and legacy. But of course, there are more dramatic theories. Could it contain a royal secret? A personal reflection she felt could only be shared long after she was gone? Some have speculated it might contain a prediction or a hope for the future of the Commonwealth, or even Australia's relationship with the monarchy. Given the ongoing debates in Australia about becoming a republic, a message from the Queen on this topic would be incredibly significant. However, it would have been uncharacteristically political for her to broach such a sensitive subject directly. She was a master of diplomacy and subtle messaging, so if it does touch on this, it's likely written with incredible care and nuance. Another, perhaps more whimsical, theory is that it contains a personal anecdote or a fond memory of her time in Sydney. Maybe a funny story from one of her many royal tours. Something to humanize the monarchy for a future generation that will only know her through history books and documentaries. It could be her way of ensuring that the person behind the crown isn't forgotten, sharing a moment of personal connection across the decades. This letter, and others like it, reveals something fundamental about Queen Elizabeth's reign. She had an incredible understanding of the long game. She wasn't just a monarch for her time. She was acutely aware of her place in history and the legacy she would leave behind. Her entire reign was a masterclass in stability and continuity. In a world that changed at a dizzying pace, she was a constant. This letter is a physical manifestation of that principle. It is a promise of connection to the future, a symbol that the institution she represented endures. Think about it. In 2085, the world will be a vastly different place. Technology we can't even imagine will be commonplace. The political landscape will have shifted dramatically. And yet, on a designated day, the Lord Mayor of Sydney will retrieve that letter, break the seal, and read the words of a woman from a bygone era. For a moment, the 20th and 21st centuries will connect. This long-term thinking is also evident in how the royal family manages its own history. The royal archives, as I mentioned, are a treasure trove. They contain the papers of Queen Victoria, George V, and many others. But access is carefully controlled. Historians often have to wait for decades to see certain documents. For example, the official biography of Queen Elizabeth's father, King George VI, was published in 1958, but many of his personal papers remain sealed for much longer. This 100-year rule is a common archival practice, but for the royals, it serves a dual purpose. It protects the privacy of individuals and preserves the mystique of the monarchy itself. By keeping certain aspects of their lives private, even after death, the monarchy maintains a sense of being separate, of being special. If we knew every argument, every doubt, every mundane detail, would the institution hold the same power? Queen Elizabeth understood this better than anyone. Her public persona was one of impeccable duty and reserve. Her personal thoughts and feelings were shared with an incredibly small circle. The Sydney letter is a public extension of this private discipline. She gave the public a mystery, a tangible piece of history that we can see and speculate about, but not fully possess. It's a brilliant piece of public relations, really. It keeps people talking, keeps them engaged with her legacy, and builds anticipation for a future event. It ensures she will be a topic of conversation in 2085, not just as a historical figure, but as someone whose message is finally being delivered. So, while we won't know the contents for another 6 decades, the existence of the letter itself tells us a great deal. It speaks to a queen who was deeply conscious of history, who valued tradition, and who had an innate understanding of symbolism. She knew that sometimes the most powerful messages are the ones that are left unsaid, or in this case, unread. It's a final, clever act from a monarch who defined an era. She left the world not with answers, but with a question mark sealed in a glass case. And we, along with future generations, are left to wonder and wait. What do you think the letter says? A simple thank you or something more? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you're fascinated by royal history and mysteries like this one, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you next time.